Hi, this is Tony DeWitt. I'm a Missouri appellate lawyer, and I try to answer questions here on YouTube. Today I want to talk about a case out of Mississippi that is somewhat horrifying to honest and ethical lawyers. More about that in just a moment. The case I want to talk about today is Hyundai versus Applewhite. It comes out of the Supreme Court of the state of Mississippi. I used to work for a lawyer who said that you needed a passport to travel to Mississippi. He said that because he thought that the law was pretty badly messed up down there. And in some respects, perhaps it is. But in this particular case, the Mississippi Supreme Court did the right thing. This is a convoluted case, and I would encourage you to go read the case online. You can find it at courts.ms.gov, and I'll leave a link to the case below in the description so that you can find it. The case involves an odd set of circumstances, but essentially begins this way. There is a lawyer who wants to ensure that he can pick a good jury. Now, lawyers often stand up and say that they want to pick a fair jury, but that's not really what they want. What we all want when we try cases is a jury that will decide for us. Now, that doesn't mean we can violate the law to get that jury, but we can do things like look at demographics and make some decisions about people based on their affiliations that and perhaps on their Facebook page, that whether or not we want them on our jury. But one lawyer went a little bit too far. There was a gentleman who was a preacher, and this preacher decided that he would work with this lawyer in order essentially to help him pick a jury. So there is a lawsuit that goes to trial on May 1, and on April 15, the preacher goes into the community and starts doing revivals and church meetings and tent meetings and going around to all the different churches, and they have barbecues and fish fries and that sort of thing, and the pastor or the preacher gets to meet a lot of different people in the community. And of course, in the South, there tend to be a great number of people who are people of faith. And that individual learns who those people are, and they chat and have good conversations. And there's no attempt to gild the lily here. The preacher does not talk to them about the case, but he gets to know them. And he gets to know them on a level that most other people don't. So that when it is time to pick the jury in that case, he goes into court and sits on the side of the courtroom with the plaintiff's attorney, and he sees people in the jury box that he knows. In this particular case, it has a long appellate history, and it appears that this individual helped pick the jury and get a $10.5 million jury award for a crashworthiness case. Now, for those of you who may not know what a crashworthiness case is, it essentially says that the manufacturer of an automobile did not design it in such a way that you could survive an automobile crash in it. Essentially, that the automobile worked against you during a crash instead of for you. So they tried this case and they got a large judgment, and Hyundai began to get suspicious based on efforts by this preacher in other cases and by approaches that this that this preacher had made to other lawyers. And so they started to do some discovery. The trial judge disallowed it. They appealed that to the Mississippi Supreme Court, and the Mississippi Supreme Court said, no, we think discovery is appropriate. You need to find out what's been going on here. During that discovery, the deposition of the preacher is taken, and he says, no, the lawyer did not pay me. The lawyer who paid him asked him, did I pay you? And he said, no. Well, this is wrong on two levels. A lawyer cannot ever suborn perjury. And if he knows you gave an untruthful answer, he has to either convince you to amend that answer and fix the untruth, or he has to withdraw from the case. And in this case, the lawyer did neither. Later on, the canceled checks that were written to the preacher were found and were introduced into evidence. And in spite of that, the trial judge still did not overturn the verdict. So again, it was appealed and it went to the Mississippi Supreme Court. And it essentially said that this was a huge miscarriage of justice, that it appeared that the principles of justice, that we should have a fair and impartial group of 12 to sit in judgment of a particular case, that those principles had been undermined by the efforts of the plaintiff's attorney and this preacher. Not in directly influencing the jury, but for example, one of the contentions was that this preacher would talk to the people on the jury because he knew them. And of course, most civil juries are not sequestered. They're not kept away from other individuals. He would talk to those individuals and he would report back to the plaintiff's lawyer about what was being said inside the jury room. And you can't do that. That would be as the Mississippi Supreme Court said, a gross miscarriage of justice. So the interesting part of this is not that the Supreme Court of Mississippi reversed the judgment. What's interesting on two folds is, one, they didn't just outright dismiss the case. They certainly would have had reason to. But they decided that the client, Applewhite, was not responsible for this and did not have knowledge of it. So they didn't dismiss the case. The other thing that is amazing is that there was one justice on the Mississippi Supreme Court who dissented and who said essentially that the way to handle this kind of problem is through the Mississippi bar and its disciplinary process. Well, I don't agree with him. I don't disagree that there needs to be some lawyer discipline here. I do disagree that the underlying verdict should not have been taken away. It clearly was obtained through perverted means, and we can't allow that. The law demands integrity, and it demands integrity from those of us who practice it. And so I salute the Mississippi Supreme Court for doing the right thing in this instance. I hope you found this interesting and thought-provoking. If you would have any comments on this, please feel free to leave them in the comments below because it feeds the YouTube algorithm. And if you would, please like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell so that anytime I release a video, you'll be notified. Again, thank you for watching and have a terrific day.